Since the late 1980s, a California mandate to reduce black carbon emissions, mostly from diesel engines, has measurably decreased air pollutants. Now, the first of its kind study reveals the impact of that on California's climate. Led by researcher Ram Ramanathan, Distinguished Professor of Atmospheric and Climate Sciences at Scripps Institution of Oceanography at UC San Diego. Professor Ramanathan, thanks so much for coming back and joining us. Tell us what is black carbon and where does it come from?
It's basically the dark stuff you see coming out of diesel trucks or when you have major forest fires. The smoke, we used to call them soot, and a major component of that soot is black carbon.
It's black carbon. Now, that's different than we're looking at some video of like some trains that put that out or diesel trucks on a track. How is that different from CO2?
Carbon dioxide, that's a good question. Black carbon is a particle. That's why you see it. Whereas carbon dioxide is a gas. It's colorless.
Okay.
So that's the difference between carbon dioxide on the one hand and black carbon on the other.
Yeah, we just saw this black soot covering a snow-covered outlet on top of some train or truck.
Right.
How were you able to measure carbon reduction? So these mandates were in place and they seem to be working. How can you measure that?
It was totally a surprising result for us. This is a 3-year-long study. What we were looking for was what is this black carbon doing to present-day climate in California? When we were looking at all the records, we found this massive decrease in the black carbon concentration. It decreased by 50% in the last 20 years. And then we went back to 1960s, it had decreased by 90%.
So clearly these mandates are working, these changes are working, and we'll get to that in more detail. But you're talking specifically in California. How does that impact our climate?
Yes. Black carbon, independent of the study, we have discovered that black carbon is the second largest source of global warming, next to carbon dioxide. And diesel combustion particularly is the major contributor. And just to give you an example of how large is this finding, we found that the reduction we saw over the last 20 years is equivalent to pulling out 21 million tons of carbon dioxide every year.
Which works out to about 4 million cars, if I did the math right?
Yes.
4 million cars in California off the roads. The entire city of San Diego not emitting this soot, this black soot.
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide, right. Okay.
So that was because carbon dioxide is a big gorilla. We're just converting the reduction in black carbon, the climate mitigation effect it has had, and what would have taken for carbon dioxide to do that, that's equivalent to pulling out 4 million cars.
If you had to put it in a very succinct, and I hate to do this for you, way, what is it about the last few years and this mandate and reducing the diesel emissions that impacted these pollutants? Was it better machinery, better cars? What was it? What's the key?
It's a combination of two things. First, changing the fuel using low sulfur diesel, and then changing the engine design, and then the third part is putting filters. These are basically traps black carbon.
How would you like to see your data used here in the U.S. and globally, of course, because we're not just talking about climate change in California. There's climate change going on around the world.
Excellent. Thank you. The key thing is California has been a pioneer in this. If the California example can be replicated elsewhere in the U.S. and the world as a planet as a whole, we can slow down global warming by as much as 15%. So that's how huge it is.
So we can actually have an impact. It's not doom and gloom as a lot of people think. Our behavior can change the speed at which we're warming.
Right. One other thing I want to add there is we will see it in our lifetime. That is the beauty of the soot. It stays in the air only for 2 weeks. You get rid of the emission today, they're gone 2 weeks from now.
All right, something we can actually work on and see. And I want to let folks know that they can see your whole report and findings on our website, kpbs.org. Distinguished Professor Ramanathan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.